everybody, Fun Stampers Journey Coach Janice Whiting here. I am coach number 33 and am an executive manager for Fun Stampers Journey. In this video, I have a little tutorial for you guys. I have been busy out of the state at our convention. If you saw my little show and tell video, then you kind of heard all about it, so I'm not going to go into it now. But one of the things that we did, or that we kind of hosted there, were swaps. So one of the big things to do is everyone creates some sort of a themed kind of a swap, a card or project could be, and then we trade. And so for this time, I participated in a couple of swaps. One of them was pretty challenging. It was basically it was a no layer swap. So, meaning nothing has popped up. There's no, it's like you got the card base and that's it. You could turn it over and you would see that it is what it is. It's a no layers. It's nice and easily mailed out too, because no extra postage for all the bulk. But if you're a card maker, sometimes we kind of rely on our layers, right? I recently made this card here. So you get that, and it's got layers. It's actually one of my flatter cards, but there's stuff popped up. Here's another card. We like to add a lot of fun things to our cards. Kind of lifts, pops stuff out, it just gives more interest to the card when we layer them up. I was trying to find one that I did that had here's one that has quite a few layers. So this is kind of my go-to. Oops, there we go. Look at all those fun layers. And you guys, this is my Coach Collective card for this month. If you guys don't know about Coach Collective, go to my blog and read all about it. So anyways, lots of layers, right? So this is kind of our go-to. So it was quite a challenge to do a card that was no layers. And as I was thinking about what to do, I thought, well, you know what? It's going to have to be a card that I'm going to use my colored pencils to create a little bit of depth and dimension with, right? Use some coloring to give some interest. And so that's what I did. So as you can see here, there we go. This was my prototype, okay? And it's a little messy. And if I showed it to you like up close and personal, you'd be like, whoa, Janice, what are those dots? So in my creative phase, in my designing phase, I thought I would splatter some orange silk just because I thought, why not, maybe? That was a bad idea. It looked so terrible. So because I didn't want to mess it up, because I'd already colored these beautiful butterflies, and don't they look like they're popping off the page? So fun. I was like, I'm just going to color over them with some white out. Yep, I sure did. And then just use this as my prototype. So that's what I have. So the final card actually ended up looking mostly the same. I changed the sentiment, moved it over to the corner, and then obviously didn't do any splatter. So this is what I'm going to show you today. So I'm going to show you how I created it. I'm going to show you what colors I used to color my butterflies with. And hopefully it won't take too long. And if the coloring is going really slow, I'll try to fast forward in the process, okay? All right, so let's talk about the hero of the card. I'm going to go ahead and switch over my views because you want to see me. Let's see if I can shorten that up just a tad bit. And then switch us out. There we go. All right, so the hero here, the hero stamp set, I should say, is this set right here, which is called Small Things. I love it. It's so pretty. It's got gorgeous butterflies, and it was pretty much my hero. The other thing that is what I would call the hero of the set would be our Color Burst pencils. So these are our Color Burst pencil, which are basically a colored pencil. And it's our version of them, and they are quite nice. They are super nice. And you guys, I'm used to the Prismacolor colored pencils. These are just as nice, just as smooth, if not even a little bit smoother. I really do enjoy working with them. And as you're gonna see, you'll be able to achieve some pretty cool results with them. I don't know if that's showing up quite as cool as it is on my personal view, but hopefully it is. Okay, so I'm going to put those to the side. Oh, one thing I meant to show you. I've got all mine out of here, but it's got a really great little guide if you wanted to match our color palette with our pencils, it shows you right there in the tin itself, which is kind of cool. Okay, so first things first is we're going to stamp these little guys, these butterflies, and I do use all 3 of the butterflies. And we're going to do that in our black licorice ink. And I love to kind of make my black, any kind of my stamping to be just extra nice and bold. So I usually will stamp it 2 or 3 times. Oh my gosh, you guys, look, I forgot to take off this one. Mercy. Well, it's kind of a cool, anyway. All right, so I'm going to use the stamp positioning tool, and one day, FSJ will have their own. Until then, I'm going to use this one. So I'm just going to kind of stick it right there, and then layer my pretty butterflies out and around it. So this one is going to go here on the bottom left. My middle one is going to be slightly turned up and to the right. And then the pretty blue one is this well. Because I do want to leave room for the sentiment, which will go right there on the bottom. I'm using a sentiment from one of our really sweet sets that's got so many different options. Okay, I'm going to call that good, folks. I'm going to call it good. All right, then I'm going to grab our black licorice, which, oh my gosh, my black, I don't know. It's messed up. I mean, the lid is. It's fine. And I think I've got cat hair all over it because my cat he's the king of the house, I think. Or at least he thinks so. Okay, so I'm going to ink up these probably 2 or 3 times. Again, I want my black to just really stand out. So there's one. Aren't they so pretty? I love them. These are gorgeous butterflies. And I love the way that the patterns and the designs of them are so striking. When I went to decide what color palette to use, there was this one really pretty blue butterfly that just stood out online as I was looking at pictures, and I was like, that's what I'm going to use as my focal point. And we all know, well, you might not know, that orange and blue are complementary colors. So they go really well together. All right, I think we're good. You know what? I think maybe I'll do just a little bit more right here in the center. For some reason, that black is not picking up too well. Oh, pretty. Perfect. Okay. Now they're nice and solid and bold. Can you see the difference? I love our inks. So fun. Okay, so I've got those stamped, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment as well, just so I can get all of my stamping out of the way. I'm going to take the ink off of this because, you know, I'm not too anal about too many things, but clean stamps. When I'm in a hurry, like if I'm in a big hurry, then every now and then I might not clean them, but it really bothers me. Okay, so there we go with that one. And so the sentiment I chose is thank you from the In the Family stamp set. And one really cool thing about this is that we have this in Spanish as well, which is really awesome. So if you are a Spanish speaker, then I would highly suggest this one. Okay, thank you. It's going to go right here on the corner. And originally I had the sentiment over on this side, but I was like, I want the movement of your eye to follow that. And so it made sense for me to put it back here. So I'm going to just kind of make sure it's nice and straight. And I hope it's straight. If it isn't, well, it is what it is. Okay, y'all, where did I put my black ink? Over here. And this one I might ink up a couple of times. I don't know, maybe once is fine. For these little easy line designs, that's pretty. I'll do it one more time just for the fun of it. Just for the fun of it. Gorgeous. Okay. All right, so our stamping is done. We've got our 3 butterflies and we've got the sentiment. And of course, you could choose whatever sentiment you want. Again, I do love this set because it's got some really great, like, familiar sets, familiar in the family way. And then from there, the coloring begins. Okay, so I'm going to move this out of here. And hopefully I can zoom in just a little bit so that you guys can see the coloring a little bit close up. So I'm going to start with our itty bitty blue one, and let me see if I can zoom this just a little bit. Let's see if my camera can handle it. Oops, that's the wrong one. You don't want to zoom into me. This one here. Okay. I don't know how much my camera can handle here. I hope that's not too blurry, guys. If it is, let me go back one couple. Okay. I hope that's okay. I'm thinking that's okay. We'll see. All right, so we've got 4 different colors that I'm using for this little bitty butterfly up here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put this guy over here so you can kind of see. Just ignore, you know, remember, prototype. All right, so the colors that we're using are 0 to 6 as the lightest, 30. Then we use a little bit of 31 and a little bit of 32 for our darker colors, okay? All right, so here we go. We're starting off with 26 first, and let's see if this will pick up. I think it will. Let's see. So what I did was I just started lightly coloring. Lightly, meaning I'm not applying too much pressure to get that blue in there. Literally, it's just I'm letting it float along the paper. And I always start with a little bit of pressure first, because the way that your colored pencils work is you kind of build up with the different colors and different layers. So I did 26. Now I'm grabbing 30. And 30, I'm going to come and just color up above and around that lighter blue. So I'm going up to where the little dots are, these little circle, this design of the butterfly here. I just realized that we didn't color this side. So that's kind of my stopping point-ish. Okay, ish, because there's nothing, you know, set in stone. Art is art, and you make it how you want. This is kind of how I did it. Okay, then I'm going to grab the slightly darker one, 32. Okay, now there's a difference between 32 and 31. 31 has a little bit of a purplish tone to it, and 32 has a little more of like a denim, dark denim. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and with this 32, I'm going to go right up in here and color this entire top section, this dark color. And again, I'm going to say this is kind of really close to a dark denim color. How's that showing up? Well, I hope it's okay. I hope it's not having focusing issues. Sometimes it does that if I go too close. Okay, so this is pretty much our first layer, okay? We've got the light, we've got a little bit darker, and then we've got the dark on the edge. Now we're going to go in and try to bring it back to life a little bit, okay? So now we're going to come in and we're going to press a little darker press a little more firmly to create that dark, kind of more intense, vibrant look. So you should be able to see that it's starting to pick up a little bit more of that color. And the reason, again, that I go from light to dark is because when I'm experimenting with these colors and coloring, I'm just kind of playing around. I'm not exactly sure how I want it to look. And so by applying light pressure first, it gives me some breathing room. Coming back in with this second darkest color with number 30. And sometimes I'll go up and around even, right? Now I'm going to come back in with that denim-y color, number 32. And I'm going to grab and make this a little darker as well. This is, I'm kind of applying medium pressure this time around for this one because I don't want it to be too dark quite yet, because I want that my 31 to come in and darken it up a little bit for me. Sometimes I'll go in with this dark and I'll kind of come in along the lines. So it kind of gives this little bit of a depth illusion. So I'm doing kind of like this striking motion like this along the lines of the butterfly, the actual design of the butterfly. Okay. And then now I'm going to come in with this one, number 31, which again has a little bit of that purple, kind of like an indigo color. And I just kind of love it. It just it adds a little bit of a brightness, even though it's a dark color, to the butterfly. And I feel like this is kind of what gives this butterfly it just kind of brings it to life. And I am applying a good bit of pressure on the ends here, so I am using firm pressure to get the most out of this particular pencil, because I want that color to show. So firm pressure to get this indigo, as I'm calling it, to show. I'm going to come back a little bit with this lighter blue and catch any areas that I might have missed, and even use it as a blending tool for some of these areas up in here. So it is quite it is quite light. It's much lighter than the pencils I was using before. I'm going to go ahead and grab this slight darker one, but you can still use it once. So the way the colored pencils work a little bit, they do have a wax, a little bit of a wax core. And so once the wax is built up, you can kind of move it around a little bit. And you do need to play with this a little bit, because once, if you put too much, then you won't be able to color anything at all. It won't pick up anything. But there's like this sweet spot where you're able to move the color around. And you just kind of have to play with it and learn what that sweet spot is. So now I'm literally just I'm coming in, and if I'm noticing any areas that are kind of rough, and I say rough meaning you can kind of see the white still, it's not a solid color, then I'm coming in and adding a little bit of that. So you can tell I'm kind of mixing and playing, and you can do that once you have a nice coat of color on there. All right, I kind of love it. Ooh, so fun. This butterfly is so pretty. So play around. Now something else that is available to you is this little blending stump here. Okay, and we sell these along with them, and along with the pencils. And you can use this to blend your colors. Once you've layered a good bit on there, you can come and you can either go in depending upon the direction you want your color to flow, you can do a side-to-side motion, or you can do circular. So right now, because the wings of the butterflies the designs are going in this way, so I'm doing a side-to-side motion here. So I'm kind of wanting my colors to be kind of, I was about to say stripes, but at least in that direction, flowing towards the center. And this just basically blends it in a really nice way and gives a nice polished look. Now I went out of the lines because because I'm not a professional, amateur artist over here. So I'm going to kind of erase some of that. That is the beauty behind colored pencils, is they actually are erasable, which is kind of nice. Kind of like our pan pastels are. You do have to be really, really careful to get, don't erase your actual inside coloring. There we go. Beautiful. Voila. What do you think? You like that one? So really dramatic butterfly. So pretty. It's probably one of my favorites on the card. I mean, they're all gorgeous. Yeah, I think it's my favorite, but they're all pretty. Okay, so let's go ahead and do butterfly number 2. So with butterfly number 2, did I start out with blue? I did. Yes, I think I started out with these 2 top wings first, just because I was already using these colors. So I thought, heck, let's go ahead and keep what I've got. So I picked up this light blue, but actually I'm going to go ahead and use this little green number 23 for the center, because you may or may not be able to tell, but there's a little bit of green on these inside portions. So I am going to do just a smidge, and I am actually going to color it fairly dark I would say medium pressure for this, just because I'm not going to be doing too much mixing. So medium pressure. So I'm laying down the green fairly firmly, but not too firm, because I am going to do a little bit of mixing in there. So that, again, that was number 23. Back to colored pencil number 26, and this one I'm going to use light pressure, and I'm kind of going over the green a little bit. Over the green, light pressure. There we go. In the direction of the patterns on the wings. Then I'm going to go ahead and switch over to 30 with my next lightest in this particular combo. And I'm just going to do a little bit, because I do want to leave room for all of my pretty blues in here. So just a little bit up on top, giving a little bit of space for my other dark blues to come in and do their thing. So then 32 next. Remember, this is the one that's kind of like a denim color. I'm making up words. Y'all don't mind, right? So the denim. And then the very last one will be that indigo color that I love. It just kind of gives a to your coloring. And this one I'm going to go pretty firmly, heavy-handed. I'm using some of the just kind of lined technique, where you're doing this little striking motion a little bit. All right, then I'm going to come back with my darks. I love to blend that denim one with this dark one. Just really, really pretty. And now I am applying firm pressure to blend those two together. So they blend so beautifully, and it feels really, really soft and smooth as I work with these. Okay, I'm going to grab my next lightest, which was 30, come back and blend in between those two, again using a good firm pressure this time around. And my lightest one coming back in here, and good firm pressure, and I am going over that green, so it is almost as if I was trying to blend the green and the blue, and I am. Beautiful, so pretty. Ooh, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, I don't even know if I want the blending stick, but I guess I'll do it just for this little top area here. The blending stick will sometimes remove, I say sometimes, it does remove a little bit of the color, so keep that in mind. But it does so because it's blending the two together, it's making it smooth. So it's kind of a neat effect when you use it. All right, so pretty. Love it. Don't you love it, from the middle to the outside part? So fun. Okay, I used blue 30 to color in between these white areas, and I colored pretty firmly. There was no blending in this one. It's just straight up coloring. I was like, what am I going to blend? It's such a small little space. I'm no professional. I'm going to keep it pretty basic. And I like the contrast of the blue and the white there, so I'm not coloring those in. On my prototype, I did color a little bit of orange, but I was like, nope, I don't want the orange in there on these little inside dots. Okay, so I think I'm done with the blue, and the next thing I'm going to do is grab my oranges, okay? And so the orange, I had a dark orange and kind of like a medium orange. Dark orange is 14, and that is the one that I use, at least, you know what? I'm going to double, triple, quadruple check to make sure that is the orange that I use. Because I don't want to color, just kidding, that's the darker one. I used 10, yes, for my quote-unquote dark orange, and then 15 for my light orange, all right? Okay, so 10 coloring along the outside here, and I would say I'm using a medium pressure. I didn't want it super incredibly bright, even though, I mean, it's orange, so it's pretty bright. I just try to go for a medium flow here. I didn't want it to look rough. I still wanted it to look beautifully colored. It almost, when you layer these up, they almost look like your used markers, because again, they blend so well and they're so vibrant. It's really kind of fun. I don't know how many people at convention asked me, oh my gosh, how did you color those? And they were surprised to hear that it was with our colored pencils. You can achieve this look just by blending and layering your colors pretty easily. Okay, now I'm going to 15 for this the lighter orange look. And again, using a medium pressure here. And I'm basically coloring in this second ring on the wings, top and bottom. All right, and because it's a lighter color, I will oftentimes use lighter colors to smooth out darker colors. As long as they're in the same color family, it works really well. So I'm going over that darker orange with this lighter one. So oftentimes I won't even use the blending stump. I'll just use another pencil to do that same thing. I'm going to color a little bit more. All right, I think that's good. And then I'm just going to use this blue one more time, getting any of those little white areas. Okay, and butterfly number 2 is complete. How am I doing on time? 24 minutes? That's not bad, right? That's not. All right, and let me see if I can hold it up to this, because this one has some of the really pretty, you can see some of the blue a little bit better. I don't know, maybe you can't. I don't know. So fun. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop into the last butterfly, which does not have any blue. So you guys can kind of sort of see my pattern, right? It was blue, then blue and orange, and the one is completely orange or orange and yellow. So the colors that I used here were these as well, the 10, the 15. I also add a yellow here for my lightest color, which is 16. And then I add some darker colors. I add 14 and 40. Now 40 is really, really dark. It's like that brown, almost a brown. Let's see, I can describe it. I don't know if you can see the difference there, but 40 is that dark one, and then 14 is this next one right here. So I always do a little color swatch to make sure that my colors go together, that I know they can blend well together before I start coloring on my actual project. So, okay, so I'm going to start with yellow. I just always tend to start with light and then work my way up. I generally speaking, that's a pretty good rule. You don't always have to, but it just makes it a little bit easier to move your colors around and play around with what you've got on your project. So I'm going to go ahead, and what I did was I colored this little guy, and I just started, and started at the top, and I colored it with, I would say, a medium pressure, the yellow. So this top row is pretty much just solely my yellow number 16. Okay. And I basically used this little squiggly line, this little wavy area as my guide, really. I knew that I wanted to keep the black and the white dots at the end just to match with this and to match with the black and white theme that I kind of had going a little bit in the background, which if you see my prototype, you'll see that I drew some lines. So that's kind of how I started. Now from there were a couple of spots that I just a little bit of yellow underneath, because you can kind of see that the pattern that I was going for was dark to light from bottom to top. And so that's kind of what I was trying to go for pretty much the entire time. So see, so mostly yellow around that top wavy area, and then just a little bit of yellow underneath any black spot. Okay, then I go up to my next color and just really lightly color over underneath the black spots, because this is my lightest color, orange, the lightest shade of orange, which is now being mixed or blended with that yellow. So I'm giving it a nice little blend here. Just again, it's going from light to dark in this orange family. Okay, and I would say I'm using a medium, light to medium pressure on this one, because with these I like to play around first and then kind of see where I can lay my color down from there. Right, then I'm going to pick up my 10, which is a little bit of a darker orange. A little bit of a darker orange. Going up underneath. So a little going up underneath where I had the lighter orange. I'm doing quite a bit of layering here. I would say I'm using a medium pressure on this color. I think I would say that the more confident I am of my blending, I'll generally do a medium. If I'm not quite sure what I want, I'll definitely stick to light because it kind of comes to life after that. Then I'm going to use 14, and this one is like va-va-voom. I'm going to color in lightly. This is a light color. The rest of the space. And I'm coloring light because this is my darkest color and I don't want it to overwhelm. And I'm also going to be doing some mixing, and you know what, I forgot I need a little bit more orange, more 10 down here. I'm going to be doing some mixing, and I want to be able to have plenty of room for mixing my colors. So light, 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 light. Light, light, light. Okay, so there's the base of that butterfly. It looks so different from when you're started to when you've actually got nice firm pressure, doesn't it? Okay, so let's start playing a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and grab my, I'm going to do some dark. Okay, so I'm kind of going backwards a little bit. I've got my base down. I kind of know what I want. So now I'm going to start giving some firm pressure to make this little butterfly come to life. So just a little bit. Actually, I'm going to grab my, 14. I'm grabbing 14. I'm going along some of these lines. Firm pressure. I'm doing some of the stroke movement. Remember the stroke I was telling you about, where you just kind of making little lines here and there. So it's adding color firmly, but it's not, I'm not overwhelming it quite yet because it's just a stroke. It's not, you know, solid coloring yet. I'm going to come and grab, so at this point you're just kind of going back and forth, and I love to mix my colors, and so I had that dark red, and I'm going to come in and add some of the number 10 orange, and I'm going to darken up some of those places where I had the orange. I laid down the 10 orange originally. I'm using a mixture of the stroke and yes, just coloring as well. I'm going to go ahead and grab number 15 and blend some of that dark orange out. So right here I'm going in between, so where I had the dark orange and where I laid down my 15, I'm coming in, I'm blending. I'm using firm pressure as I blend the two. And remember, it was just underneath those dark areas. And again, you can use your lighter colors to blend your darker colors. You can use it kind of like a blending stump, which is kind of nice. So that's kind of what I'm doing right here, is I'm going over my yellow 16 right here, just a little bit in between my yellow and my 15 that I laid down just a minute ago. Okay, can you see that coming to life? So fun. All right, let's see. I'm going to come in and blend some of that together. Now, I've not used my 40, but I'm about to now. So 40, remember, is the darkest color. So I'm just going to use this ever so sparingly in the center, maybe just above those. A little bit here and there. Come back with my number 14. Really love this dark red. It's a reddish orange. Number 14 is definitely a reddish orange. Just this particular butterfly reminds me of fire. Fire. So it's fun to play. All right, I think that it is pretty good. I'm going to grab my 15 again. Remember 15? It's light enough that I can kind of use it for blending these colors together. At this point, I have laid quite a bit of color and wax down, so it's just kind of shifting and blending a little bit, blending what I've got down already. And grab my 16 yellow and come back up here just on the edges. All right, and now I've got my beautiful butterfly colored. Isn't that pretty? Oh my gosh, I love them so much. Okay, now the last thing you do with these is, because I'm done coloring, I'm not going to mix or blend anything else there, is you're going to add a little bit of shading. So you guys, I am not a pro at shading. I literally had to Google how to shade butterflies. I don't know if I typed that in. I typed in something and I pretty much mimicked the lighting coming down from the top. So I am no pro. I like how it turned out. This is my prototype, so it didn't turn out, you can't really tell all that well. But I used, I'm coming back over here, 46, my original card, I used quite a few different ones, including white. But then I realized I don't need lots of different ones. I just need to control my pressure. So I could use 1 or 2 colors, and just controlling my pressure was enough to kind of make it look satisfactory for me. Again, I'm not a pro, I'm just an amateur. So to start off, I used 46 very, very lightly, very lightly. And again, I just kind of mimicked what I saw, and what I saw, just you did a little side shadow along the edges in the same shape as your butterfly. And again, I am no pro at lighting. Go look at a tutorial on shading and how light affects your pieces. I mean, it's amazing. You could take whole courses on it. But for my purposes, I just wanted to give the illusion of it kind of standing out a little bit off the page. So you can already kind of tell that's doing that just by me doing it lightly. I'm not quite happy with that shape, so I'm just going to trim that a little bit and come back. Try to give it the right shape. Now this is with me using light pressure. So I'm going to come back and add a little bit of a darker pressure, or excuse me, more pressure just along the edge here. You can kind of see. So this is where I feel like with some of that dark pressure, or excuse me, more firm pressure, I forgot his little tail, that the shadows kind of come to life a little bit. It kind of really gives that depth 3D popping off the page look. Ugh, that's kind of fun. Okay, so I kind of struggled a little bit with blending these a little bit, but I was happy with the turnout. It is what it is. I'll have to certainly get some more tips and techniques on how to master shading. Honestly, it just is a matter of practice and playing around with your light coming from different directions. But this is basically kind of how I finished this, or excuse me, shaded this little guy. And I use the same technique on all of my butterflies. So on this one here, shading, so again, light's coming from the top because these are flat. And so coming up around the edges. And this, I'm using like on this particular one, I'm using the flat side of my, it's not a sharp, you see that it's flat, it's not sharp. So that gives more of a soft look to your shading. This comes around. So again, the shadow is just coming up and around the sides. Okay, so this is the light, kind of light pressure, and now I'm going to come around with some dark, firm pressure, just again, just on the you know, the border between your lined image and that shaded kind of light shadowy area. So I'm not doing the entire thing dark, because again, I'm wanting that gradual. For whatever reason, I liked it when it was dark along the edges and light along the sides. So it just gave that like dark to light shadow look. Okay. All right. That one's done. And so this one was a little more tricky for me because I was like, this one's not flat. But I just said it is what it is. I'm gonna shade it similarly, even though it's not flat to the paper like the others are. Again, using that flat side of my pencil, and then this side, and then this side as well. I did the bottom as well because I thought it looked pretty good. And I think that's all the shading I did. I didn't quite do any on this side. I think on one of my cards I did a little bit right here. All right, so just slightly. And then dark, firm pressure just along that edge of your butterfly lines. There you go. So light pressure to create that initial shadow, and then dark pressure along the sides. All right. I don't like those lines right on the edges. I like the edges to be nice and blended. So the light kind of touch, the flat of your pencils creates that shadowy look. All right. I used, gosh, was it 29 for blending? So it can kind of have a nice smooth look between the two. And so I used a medium pressure to blend between those two, out along the lines and along the edges, because it's a pretty light colored pencil. And that just kind of blurred, smoothed out everything and really kind of made those shadows look shadowy. I did not use my blending stump for that. I just let pencil number 29 do all the work. Okay. Okay. Ta-da! Those are my shadows. Okay. So last little bit that I did here was I grabbed a ruler and I drew lines. And that is really the last, apart from the little corner rounding, that is basically it. And this is when it's really handy to have your grid, because you can make sure that your card is straight. Because that really, on my first one, I don't know how it happened, but I totally did not, my card was not straight, and so some of my lines were crooked, and that really bothered me. All right, good. And so then I grabbed a pen, and this is a uni pen. It's some free-flowing ink. And I drew my first line. I stopped when I got the butterfly and then continued on the other side. And I just went all the way up. And so again, lined it up. Made sure it was straight. Isn't that funny that even with the ruler you can kind of get it a little crooked. Perfect. And I'm going to go all the way up to do this. Okay, so my lines are drawn. So fun. And the very, very last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use our corner rounder to round those corners. And you guys, where'd I put my corner rounder? Oh, I think I remember. Right in here. So this is one of our new items, finally, one of our new basics, right? It's our corner rounder. And I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it, the rounder here on this corner. And this corner. Oh, goodness. And this is pretty much it. The only other thing that I added to this, which I think is kind of fun, is some of our rainbow drops. And let's see y'all. These are so fun. So because our swap hostess said that embellishments were allowed. So fun. Remember, completely flat card. But she said embellishments were allowed. And I honestly, to be quite honest, I wanted to be a purist and have like absolutely no layers. But I couldn't help myself and add some bling because I thought it was pretty. So I'm using some of our rainbow drops here and some of our blue. And we have 3 different sizes, which was perfect for what I needed because I wanted a large, a medium, and a small, just to kind of follow the path of the butterflies. Isn't that fun? So I'm going to use our Journey Craft Glue to put those guys down. Just a little dab rather. And I don't remember if this guy was here or here, but let's see. What do we think? That looks pretty good. How about there? Is that better? I think that's very good. That may be different from my original. Who knows? Well, whoever has my swap knows, but it is what it is. All right, last little guy up on top. And that, my friends, is it. So what do you think? Tell me if you like it. I want you to try it out. If you don't have our colored pencils, grab some, okay? Have fun with it. You can totally make this card. You can totally recreate this card. You guys, you know, the OCD in me, the perfectionist in me is this. Is it this one? This one. Oh, good Lord. That's really bothering me. I'm like, I don't want the lines strict. I want soft lines. Okay. I'm gonna leave it alone because you guys don't want to watch that. Anyway, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions. Tell me if you love it. If you don't love it, don't tell me. Okay, but if you love it, pipe in. Let me know. This stamp set and pretty much everything I'm using here today is available on my store, on my website, which is www.funstampersjourney.com/Janice Whiting. It is. This new catalog right here is live, and it is, I mean, chock full of gorgeousness. I mean, gorgeousness, you guys. It's such a beauty. It is, oh, by the way, if you want a copy of this catalog, let me know. I've got a whole bunch. So if you PayPal me $7, oh, look, here's the stamp set. Yay. If you PayPal me $7, I will mail one out to you this week. I have started mailing these out to all of my customers. $7 is just the cost of shipping for me. So normally they're $12.95, still well worth it. But you guys, these are really hefty, which is why they cost a little bit more to ship. Anyway, but if you get it from me, all I have to do is pay for shipping. So let me know. Just send me an email, or you can PayPal me $7 to JaniceEileen78@gmail.com. I'll have the address down there below, and I will happily mail this one out to you. Hopefully you enjoyed that tutorial. If you have any questions, just let me know, and I guess it's until next time, right? Bye.